Good morning. My name is Tanya and we've got 60 minutes of yin together. You're going to need a bolster and a couple of blocks, so hopefully you can grab a hold of those two items. And we're going to start in a seated meditation. I'm going to take you through a practice where all of the poses basically intersect each of the energy systems throughout the whole body. So we're working with the chakra system, and we're going to work through pose by pose, starting from the ground and working our way up. So each pose category will essentially be targeted at each specific chakra. And so we're going to start with the base chakra, Muladhara chakra, which is right down on the base of the spine, basically governs the whole base of the pelvic bowl, down at the tailbone, the first couple of vertebrae fused together at the base of the sacrum. So we're going to start in a seat, and then we're going to move into a malasana or a yogi squat. So find yourself in a seat, just get comfortable there. I would really love for you to have 3 points of contact in your seat, so having your sit bones grounded, and then you can see here my knees quite comfortably land on the floor. If that doesn't happen for you, it would be great for you to grab a couple of blocks or just cushions if you've got them at home to give your knees some support. The intention there with having 3 points of contact is so that the whole body can feel really grounded and surrendered, rather than being in this elevated, sort of tight, contracted space if the body doesn't have freedom to fall down to the floor. So once you're set up and you have those 3 points of contact for a really beautiful foundation for your seat, find length in your spine and just softly close down the eyes. And just give yourself a few breaths to begin with, just to get into this embodied awareness of the physicality of your body, as well as a way to just tune in to what's happening for you energetically, emotionally, spiritually, just a little invitation to start to tune in and to pay attention. And once you're feeling comfortable in your seat and you've taken a couple of breaths just as a way to get here and arrive on your mat in this moment, I want you to start gently lengthening the breath. So starting to slow the breath down, breathing in and breathing out with a slow, controlled, smooth breath. Using the breath as a bit of an anchor to begin with. And then throughout our practice, we're going to be using the bija mantra of each chakra, each energy point of focus, as a way to keep the mind anchored and concentrating. And so each chakra has this single syllable mantra, and I will share those with you as we move through each one. But for now, we're just focusing on the breath. Giving yourself 5 more of these long, controlled, slow breaths. If you've been feeling particularly up or stressed or frazzled, I would really invite you to make that exhale as long and slow as you possibly can. And at the end of those 5 breaths, we're going to move into Malasana or Yogi squat. So there are a few ways to do this depending on your ankle, knee, and hip range of motion and flexibility. You can come into full Yogi squat. I'll go sideways just to give you a better view here. Your feet as wide as they need to be to allow your hips to ground down, and you can see that my spine is pretty straight. I would really love for you to have that integrity in your spine. So if you come into a squat and it's really challenging and the spine is really curled, the tailbone's driving under, I would invite you to find some more support. So if you can land here, and we're going to be here for a few minutes, so it would be ideal to find a position that best meets your needs. And you can have your hands wherever comfortable, maybe on the floor. I like taking mine hands to heart because I use the elbows as a lever against the knees to keep opening up through the inner thighs. If that's a little challenging, you can take a bolster or a block underneath your bottom so that I'm still maintaining the depth in my squat and my spine is still really long, but it's just taken some of the effort and some of the pressure, particularly out of the ankles. If that's still too challenging, you can just build yourself up. So finding more height underneath your bottom. So it's like creating a little grounded seat for yourself. And then if it's too tight through the hips, you can simply move your feet forward. So you end up in this sort of semi-seat, semi-squat. But you can see my spine is still really long and straight. My hips are still really grounded. My feet, knees, hips are bent. And then you can just rest your hands wherever you're comfortable. What I would love for you to be able to do here, regardless of what expression of shape you've chosen, is that the whole belly particularly can be really soft and full. There shouldn't be any force or grimacing or, clenching to be in the shape. There should be a softness. So if you've chosen a shape and the body is kind of holding on for dear life, find another way to express it, to take all of the effort out of the body so that you can find some ease. I'm going to meet you in a full yogi squat. It's probably one of my favorite positions. I spend a lot of time on the floor and I do a lot of work doing a lot of primitive movement on the floor because it feels really nice for my body. So it's quite comfortable for me to sit here, but please be wherever you want to be. We're bringing our focus and attention right down to the base of the pelvic bowl. And the bija mantra for Muladhara chakra, the root chakra, is LAM, L-A-M. And so while we're here in the pose, you're going to just simply repeat that word, that single syllable mantra LAM, over and over and over again. You can follow that with your breath, so you might breathe in and then silently chant LAM for the full exhale. You might breathe in and say LAM, breathe out and say LAM. You might just allow the breath to move fluidly and then the mind is just simply repeating LAM, 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 whatever works for you. If you've chosen a particular expression of shape and after a bit of time it starts to feel like it's not meeting your needs anymore and you need to go deeper or you need to pull back a little bit, please adjust and shift your position. Maintaining focus of integrity in spine and softness in belly. Focus and attention down at the base of the spine. The Muladhara chakra is in and according to yoga philosophy, is said to be one of the first basically energy centers that are developed in our very young newborn years up until about the age of 2. And it's really related to things like our sense of security and safety, our belief and trust that our basic needs are going to be met. Food, warmth, shelter, family, love, connection. And in the process of cultivating and illuminating our inner light through the practice of yoga, down the base of our energy centers here at Muladhara Chakra and in the one above, Svadhisthana Chakra, it's where a lot of our limiting beliefs and our small minds and our desires and our fears and our shames and our uncertainties all reside down here in the base of these energy centers. And so to free ourselves of the afflictions of the mind, we need to dive into the depths of some of the impressions that have been imparted on us through our journeys, through our lives. To see clearly into the things that hold us back from remembering our essence and our light. Using the Bija mantra as a way to just keep the mind anchored. So every time the mind wanders off into thought, as it will, because that's what it's designed to do, the invitation is to simply bring yourself back and to keep repeating that mantra, Lam. And we're just going to stay here for 5 more breaths. And at the end of those 5 breaths, we're going to come and lay flat on our back. If need be, please take a bolster underneath your knees to support and soften the lower back. No doubt your whole body is going to appreciate coming out of that yogi squat. So as you unravel and open up, particularly from the hips and the pelvic bowl down to the knees and ankles, if you need to stretch, wiggle, move, nourish after being in such a contracted space, just do whatever you need to do. And also notice, tune into the pranic layers of the body. Perhaps you can feel a lot of sensation, perhaps tingling. Maybe there was some pins and needles sensation. Maybe there's like rushes of energy or warmth. Just paying attention to the circulation and the flow of energy that rushes through the body when we come out of a really tight, contracted space into a nice, soft, open space where there is no effort. And then we're going to move up into the sacral chakra or Svadhisthana. We're going to place your feet on the floor and then draw your knees into your chest. And as you wedge your thighs towards your belly, you'll feel the bony structure of the back of your sacrum, pelvis pressing into the floor. Just start to find some gentle movement side to side. And then we're going to keep this position, but we're going to lift the hips up to be supported on a bolster or block or cushion. So just take your feet back down to the floor for a moment, lift your hips up, bring the bolster underneath your bottom, almost like you're going to take a supported bridge pose. So there's a gentle inversion now. The hips are slightly higher than the heart. And you're going to then pull your knees into the chest. And you'll feel that gravity will want to bring the knees closer to your chest, maybe even up towards your chin. So you're really closing off and compressing through the lower abdomen. So Svadhisthana chakra, or the sacral chakra, governs the whole inner pelvic bowl space. So we're giving it a nice big squishy hug. You can either wrap your hands over your shins or underneath the back of the knees, and then let your calves just fall over the hands. And then you're going to drop all of your awareness down into the lower abdomen, breathing into the belly. Really nice way just to calm the nervous system too, in this deep forward fold. And the bija mantra, or the single syllable mantra for Svadhisthana, or the sacral chakra, is VAM, V-A-M. So integrating that mantra into your practice, either unified with the breath or simply repeating it over and over again, while keeping your focus down into the lower abdomen, inside the pelvic bowl. And this chakra governs this whole space, front, back, sides. Governs all of the internal sex organs, the lower digestive system. The pubic bone, the hip bones. Governs the whole space until just below the belly button. And Svadhisthana chakra governs things like our sexuality, our sensuality, pleasure, play, playfulness. Starts to develop between the ages of 2 until early pubescent years, where there is a lot of learning through activity and through play. It's also our connection to ourselves and our connection to others, that where we start to expand our circle beyond the familial line and start to reach out and cultivate friendships and connections with other people from other family units. Every time the mind wanders, you can bring your awareness back to that physical space in the pelvic bowl. And or continue to repeat the mantra VAM. If you wish to go a little bit deeper here and take a little bit more of an inversion, you can stretch the legs out, lift the pelvis up off the bolster and take your feet overhead into plow pose. You can do this by pulling the bolster closer up towards your back, resting your elbows on the bolster and supporting your thighs, keeping the chin tucked into the chest, and feet rest over on the floor overhead. And just staying here in whatever pose you're in for 10 more breaths. And to release yourself out, slowly bring your feet back down to the floor. Press your hips up, squeezing the bottom. Drag the bolster down away from you, underneath your knees, and laying flat on your back. Now we're going to move up into our solar plexus, into Manipura chakra. We're going to come into accessing this. This is this space that governs the very center of our torso, around the navel and slightly above it, and this whole internal digestive fire space. We're going to come into twisted roots. So it's a deeper variation of a twist. You may need a bolster to your side. We're going to go to the left first, so prepare your bolster there. You may or may not need it. To begin with, you're going to cross your right leg over your left, as though you were crossing your legs sitting in a seat. And then if you can, you're going to wrap the right foot behind the left calf, left ankle. So you've created this intertwining through the legs. And then your knees are going to fall to the left. So you may need a bolster there to support you if you can't take your knees all the way down to the floor with that twisted variation. And if the twisted variation is not available to you because it's too much, or there is a lack of range of motion available to you through your hips and knees, you can just simply cross the legs, or if need be, you can just keep the knees stacked. Or another variation of twist is to extend the left leg, keep the right knee drawn in, and then take the right knee over. And if it doesn't reach the floor, then you can grab a hold of your bolster and place your knee on the support. So many variations to experience your twist. I'm going to move my bolster out of the way and take that full twisted variation. One way that you would determine whether or not you needed support under your knees is if when you came into the twist, you lost the connection of the right shoulder to the floor. So always in your twist, set the foundation with shoulders connected and then supply support underneath the knees, depending on what that level of range of motion is through the twist, through the side body, and through the belly. So once you've found a comfortable space, lock back into your breath. Feel the expansion of the belly as you breathe in and out. And the Manipura chakra, this solar plexus space, the bija mantra or the single syllable mantra is Ram, R-A-M. You might even like to take your left hand and place it over your belly or over your belly button space to feel the belly expand and fall underneath your hand. Our solar plexus, or this Manipura chakra, is governing our sense of courage and our personal conviction, our self-worth, our motivation and our drive, and it's our action force to get things done. It's essentially our fire. It's the part of ourselves that puts things in place and puts action in place to create change, to alchemize and to fuel our desires and to transform. And in Tantric Hatha Yoga, it is essentially the focus of the entire practice. It's a practice that you can access where I've created a power flow, which is all about, it's basically a fire practice, a Tantric Hatha fire practice, which is all about burning up and creating a deep awakening of energy in the solar plexus. Give yourself 3 more breaths here. To come out of your twist, wait for the in breath. And slowly pull back onto your back. Just reset your spine so that your shoulders and hips are in alignment. Take your feet flat on the floor. Just gently knock the knees into the center. And give yourself 5 breaths resting on your back, just to allow the effects of that really deep twist to unravel and unwind and integrate into the body. You might find twisting creates a little bit of gurgling in your belly. It's just providing a little bit of pressure and awakening the digestive fire, this Agni, which energy is used to assimilate and process and digest the foods that we put into the system. And then we're going to take that twisted roots to the opposite side. Ideally, take the same expression of that twist as you did on the first side, unless of course there's any injury or anything that impacts on your ability to do that. So it'll be the left leg that crosses over the right, and then perhaps you can take the left foot underneath the right calf, and then with or without the support, your knees fall to the right. And again, just making sure the left shoulder now is connected to the floor. For me to maintain the integrity of that shoulder connected to the earth, I need to release my foot from behind my calf, that extra little tweak of the pose. I don't quite have the range of motion on this side of the twist to stay in integrity with the shoulders down. But as soon as I've released that foot and now my knees are just crossed and my ankles aren't, I can keep the shoulder down. So just playing around and adjusting your twist position to make sure you get a nice solid foundation across the upper shoulders. And then allowing that to create depth through the twist as gravity weights the legs down. In yoga, we often refer to this word tapas, T-A-P-A-S, which in a very primitive way references heat. And the heat is necessary to create change. It alchemizes and processes and assimilates and burns. And it can be created at a physical level in terms of literally creating fire and heat in the body through excessive movement and dynamic poses and a more vinyasa style practice. But we can also create tapas in stillness. Just sitting in meditation for a really long time creates tapas. The body aches and it demands a lot of integrity to stay still. And so the tapas is also cultivated in the mind. It cultivates resilience and personal conviction and power and will to continue to stay. And that's what the Manipura chakra is all about. There are very specific tantric hatha processes and systems that we can use with poses and breath work and specific Kriya meditations to draw the limitations of the mind, of the lower mind, and the dense energies and the dense vibratory qualities of our fears and our doubts and our limitations, which reside down in those lower chakras, in Manipura chakra, in Muladhara chakra and Svadhisthana chakra. And we draw the energy of that up into the fire. And we use the fire here. We cultivate what we would call Rudrani, which is this awakened Kundalini Shakti, this awakened power in this fire center, to burn through the ghosts of our past, to burn through the past's memories, experiences, traumas, restrictions, limitations that are holding us back from remembering our essence. And when we burn through and we eliminate and alchemize and transmute the limitations of the lower mind, which were residing down in these lower energy centers through the fire, fire in its essence turns to light. And so then we draw that light up into our third eye center, our Ajna chakra, which we'll get to soon, to remember that we are light beings, we are light energy, pure consciousness. When you really dive into the ancient wisdom of these teachings, it's so poetic, really beautiful, very powerful teachings. Yoga is not just a bunch of poses. It is a scientific methodology to facilitate change so that we can remember who we are at our deepest essence, our deepest core, and do what we're here to do. To live our purpose, to remember our Dharma, and to live a great, beautiful life. Just taking 5 more breaths. And on an in-breath, you'll come back onto your back. Reintegrate the alignment of shoulders to hips so that the spine is straight. Feet flat on the floor, gently knock the knees to the center. Just take your hands onto your belly and just give yourself 5 big breaths there. Belly expanding, belly falling. Allowing the rebound of the deep fascial and muscular stretching to take effect, to unwind, to integrate into the body. And then just for a change of scenery for a moment to get off our back, because we will need to come back onto our back. We're going to come over onto our belly, taking, you can either take a block if you would like some deep pressure. Might be a little bit too much. If you have any stuff going on with your belly, I would say use something softer. I'm just going to choose to use a bolster. You can take the bolster across the center of your mat and come and lay over the bolster with your belly compressed into the cushion. So if you use a block, you'll get a much more succinct and intentional pressure into the belly. But if you're happy just to go a little bit softer, just take your legs behind you and allow your forehead to come down towards your hands. So my bolster is sort of around the lower part of my ribs and all the way down to my hip points, and most of the pressure is right through the center of my tummy, just providing a little bit of digestive compression. Again, you might feel some gurgling or things shifting and moving in your belly when you apply some pressure. It's a good thing. We're going to just stay here for 10 breaths, so just give yourself 10 really big, full, beautiful breaths. the end of those 10 breaths, slowly press yourself up. Just come into, sit your hips down over your heels. Place your elbows on your bolster or cushion, and then just folding forward, chin to chest. Just a really soft version of a child's pose, just to provide a little bit of extra compression through the belly. Just stay here for a few breaths. And then we're going to come into a supported heart opener, and we're going to start shifting up the energy center into our Anahata chakra, our heart center. I want you to take a bolster or cushion and then take a block at the top end. So we're going to keep the chin slightly tucked in, because we will come into another heart opener after when we come into target the throat. So having your bolster top end of the mat, sacrum, bottom, butt cheeks connected to the bolster, so there's no gap here. It will help to support your lower back. And then laying down over, and then taking the bolster, or even just the block, or even just another cushion underneath the back of the head, so that the chin stays tucked in and the focus is on opening through the chest. If this is too open through your lower back, just place your feet on the floor. Pull the tailbone down towards your heels, just to lengthen out through the lower back. This is really a focus across the chest and not about opening through the lumbar spine. Ideally, your arms are out wide, palms facing up, so that you have an external rotation through the shoulder, which allows you to stretch through the upper fibers of the shoulder. And this big, beautiful expansion through your heart space. So as you're closing down your eyes, start to breathe fully into the chest. Feel the rise and fall of the chest ballooning and deflating. With your awareness resting in your heart energy center. Anahata chakra. Home of heart energy. It is this space of deep love, loving kindness, compassion, care, all of the qualities of humanity that we are innately born with. We are innately born into the world to love and to value and to respect and to have integrity and care and kindness. But it's the impressions of life experiences that tarnish the remembrance that we are here to love with the utmost integrity, to be non-judgmental, to be non-reactive, to be understanding, to be compassionate. But when we're hurt or abandoned or rejected, or we feel unloved, or we feel afraid, these lower energy centers, the Muladhara chakra, Svadhisthana chakra, the impressions from experiences tarnish the heart energy space. And we start to judge ourselves and others. We criticize, we project, we blame, we take lack of responsibility. We have the belief that we are better than others, and we forget that we are all but one and the same. So focusing here on the qualities of loving kindness, love, care, compassion, respect. And imparting those qualities to ourselves as well as to those around us. And the bija mantra for Anahata Chakra is YAM, Y-A-M. These bija mantras are essentially a single vibration, a single syllabic vibration to represent the essence and the quality of each energy center. And mantra in yoga is very sacred. Sanskrit, the language or the native tongue of this practice, essentially was created from vibration. The sages would meditate on a particular object, a particular part of the body, or a particular emotion or quality, and the sound of the vibration, the essence of the vibration would come out, and then they would create a word using the felt experience that they cultivated through their deepest practices of meditation. It's quite amazing. And so it's said that when you meditate on mantra, that you should always choose a supreme object for meditation. And mantra is said to be the supreme object because it comes from these deep, deep states of wisdom and understanding, from the vibratory quality of each object, of each item. And so when you meditate and repeat the mantra YAM, the bija mantra of the heart, you are essentially calling upon the essence of heart energy. Just give yourself 5 more big, full breaths here. And then roll over to one side. Move your bolster out of the way. Come and lay flat on your back for 3 breaths. And then just for a very short time, we're going to come into another heart opener that provides a bit of openness through the throat. coming into Vishuddha chakra, our throat chakra. So you're going to take a bolster, lengthways, with the top of the block around the top of your shoulder blades. And you're simply going to lay straight over it. So now there's a little bit more succinct pressure through the spine. And then you can either have the back or the crown of the head reach down to the floor so that you open up between the collarbones and the chin. Or if that feels too much, you can take a block behind the back of the head, keeping that space open through the throat still. And we're just here for 10 breaths. And the mantra, the bija mantra for Vishuddha chakra is HAM, H-A-M. And of course, our throat is our space of speech and our unique expression of who we are in the world. We achieve that by the words that come out of our mouth, our experiences, our memories, our thought processes, things that we think and feel and believe. We demonstrate the uniqueness of that in the world by speaking our truth. Unfortunately, there has been profound silencing of many people in the world over many generations. And so a lot of fear resides in having the courage to speak our truth. And so we work through these energy systems to burn through the limitations of the lower energy centers, to cultivate through the Manipura chakra our fire, our courage, our personal conviction, our desire for change. And then we bathe that in love through Anahata chakra. It needs to come from a place of loving kindness, care, and compassion. And then we speak. And then we express our truth. We express and speak our truth with utmost conviction, courage, knowing that nobody can deny you of that, your essence, your unique experience, your beautiful life. We alter the life force we bring into our body through breath, by creating vibration through our voice box and expressing our deepest truths. At the end of those 10 breaths, slowly roll over to your side and take a moment there just to recoup there on your side. And we're going to finish this practice today sitting up. We have spent pretty much all but one pose laying on our back. So we're going to come up into a seat and finalize our practice working with the mantra Om. As you come up into a seat, find integrity in the spine. Give yourself a couple of breaths just to feel into how you're feeling through that, from that practice. I have a lot of energy and buzziness, of course, through my chest, having just spent quite a lot of time in that beautiful heart-opening space. Just make sure there's length through the back of the neck, chin slightly drawn down towards the chest to keep the whole energy system in alignment. Stable foundation around the root chakra, Muladhara chakra, a gentle engagement through Svadhisthana chakra, through the pelvic bowl, effort and fire and contraction through Manipura chakra, expansion through the heart space, Anahata chakra, a gentle elongation through the back of the neck through the Vishuddha chakra. And now we're drawing our awareness into Ajna chakra, our third eye center, our space and access to our highest intuition, our wisdom and our knowledge, which is beyond the conditions of the thinking mind. And then resting above that is Sahasrara chakra, which is our crown chakra. It rests just above the actual physicality of our skull. And we work with this mantra, Om. So bring your awareness to your third eye center, this space slightly between and just above the eyebrows and about 2 inches back into the midbrain. And as you breathe in, we're going to carry your awareness as you chant internally the mantra Om all the way up to the crown of the head. And then chant it again as you carry your awareness back down into the midbrain. So moving between the 6th and 7th chakras, which is our gateway, our portal to source energy, to infinite possibility. So breathing in, energy, awareness travels from the third eye center up to the crown, Sahasrara. And exhale, chanting Om from the crown back to the third eye center. So just moving in, breath Om, out, breath Om, carrying awareness in a linear motion up and down between these two powerful, powerful chakras, which essentially, once Kundalini Shakti is awakened here, is our experience of our truest self, bathed in light, expansive, limitless, wholesome, and free. Just 3 more breaths here. And then taking a big, full, cleansing breath. And let all the breath go. Just noticing for a moment before you move on and out of your practice, just how you're feeling physically, mentally, energetically. Always taking check of how the practice influences you, especially at an energetic level, and the quality of your thoughts, distractions, mind. I hope you're feeling really calm and integrated. So bring your hands to your heart, a little smile across your face in gratitude for showing up for yourself. Bowing your head to your heart. Namaste.